language in itself is the subset of what you could call the ego. And, you know, without getting into ego conversations today, because some folk with ego be like, what's wrong with ego? You know, they be like, okay, not an ego, but ego uses language. Ego, that's why, you know, when you as a professional basketball player, you're not telling yourself, okay, we're going to shoot this at a 45-degree arc. You're going to curve your wrist and then it's going to drop in the bucket. Every single time they're going to take a shot. Right. So they don't have this interruption, or in the Zen, you don't have this linguistic interruption that is actually making you at minimum a half second behind what's really going on. So when one is in ego, it's almost like instead of being the 0, they're the 1. They just kind of skip the previous step and they're like they're lagged and behind. That's even for an egotistical culture. It just lags behind. Ego always wants to dominate something because it knows subconsciously itself that it is not the original. So it has to find something to control. This is what the fascination with technology has been now, because we tell it what to do. It does what we want it to do. And then it saves us even some time, as far as that equation that would take us hours, months to do, machine can do in a few seconds, giving us back that time. Even as giving us excess time, even putting us basically in the future, fast forwarding us. And the interesting thing about all of this is that if you notice, like, some people like the simple life. Most of the time when they even come to Costa Rica, you know, you start seeing paradise and you realize paradise is pretty simple. It moves at a certain pace and certain vibration. That's why you feel like you're on vacation. Because when the technology and all that stuff hits, it's all a vibration in itself. It's a wave in itself. And it moves faster. That's why I say, the speed of technology. And as it's moving faster, because we're in a vibratory field, of course, we start to move faster. But remember, like plants, if you try to increase the vibration of the soil of a plant higher than the nutrients and higher than the things that keep it together, the plant's going to die. So this rapid vibration of so many different things that even our grandparents didn't catch up. Our parents are not catching up. We're sometimes not catching up. Our children are not catching up. They're flipping technology so fast. It's like, okay, now you're going to do this. You're going to do the, okay, you're on the computer. And the grandma folks like, I don't like computers. All right, you're phased out. Whatever happened to grandma? We don't know. Here comes a new thing. All right, TikTok. Yeah, you're on TikTok. Dance. You're on dance. And then the folks like, you know, the adults are like, man, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I ain't finna do all that. Then you get out of here. Then, you know, the kids over there trying to do it. Now they got, okay, put this on your face. All right, now you see what I mean? So it's moving so fast. The frequency is moving fast. And fast frequencies, the beauty of Earth is Earth moves at a frequency that actually, which you would say is slow. Like I say, 7.83 to 12 hertz. You can measure it. Some people want to take Earth to like 5,000 hertz, never realizing that you would just rip apart the entire space. All of those little single cell organism and mycelium networks would just all be ruptured because you wanted to turn on basically Megadeth. You know, that's what it would sound like. Arr! So we have this opportunity to actually see and teach ourselves through a level of master knowledge that has already been available on the planet and is the planet and is us. And when we adhere to that system, we don't have to really ask ourselves, I wonder if I'm doing the right thing. I wonder if I'm doing the wrong thing. There's no dialogue that goes on between you and who you truly are. There's no more conversation going on with you and yourself and your mind. You become. You cease to be ego, who's a few steps behind with a time machine. And you actually become the original, which is always just monitoring everything that is going on and in love, allowing it to continue. Some people think, you know, like when earlier in life, and people used to tell me, man, everything, you know, or when you tune into the spiritual set, it's all is love. I'm like, oh man, here we go with the law of love is people. I didn't get it. All is love. And I'd be like, hey, there's all sorts of stuff going on. They just wasn't explaining it. They need to add more. So I'm here to add more for you today. It all began with love. There is no other force that bring things together that are so betwixt. What do I mean by that? You can have two opposite poles and they can get hit with this thing called love. And then next thing you know, they be hanging out with each other with love in between them, connecting them. So, your mother and your father, they're opposite poles metaphysically. What brought them together was an urge. And I want to tell you here today that the definition of the spirit is created by a deep yearning, right? So if you have this torus field around you and it's around everything and it's deep yearning for the future, which is even you, that's why I say you are the future, creates the spirit. So this is just telling you that everything else comes forth from love. So love is the original, but then, as time starts interacting, basically all the planets enter. Now I want to explain that just for what it really is, because, some say, are there really planets? There are conjunction points, but specifically what we're talking about is that it turns out mathematically and through geometry, which that's where some of the secret society knowledge really is, right? It's in these numbers and these mathematical quotients. But there's some basic principles to actually understand. Like, for instance, a torus can only be divided perfectly 7 times. It's about the numbers in the geometry. So you can slice a donut basically into 7 equal parts. And that's why this whole number 7 days of the week and this kind of stuff. That's why that's all in play. So it's not really just these planets, Thor, Jupiter, all this kind of stuff. What it really is 7 unique segments of an instrument. And when we learn how to play this instrument, when we learn how to actually even realize that it's there, then we're able to control and tap into the harmonics that are actually around us, so we can control the waves.